Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
Well, it's got to be one of the all-time favorite scenes in Scripture, isn't it? This burning bush appearing to Moses. This bush that was aflame but not consumed has worked its way into everyday speech, such as, what do you want to decide, a burning bush? Or it was easy for Moses to make the decision. He had a burning bush in front of him. Moses came upon this site at a pivotal time in his life. In order to save his life, his Hebrew mother cast him into a boat for Pharaoh's daughter to find and raise on her own. And as a young man of the Egyptian ruling class, he had security, privilege, and power. Yet the veneer of his security would be shattered, because he was not who he was raised to be. He was other, and he went out to discover who he was. The story goes, he finds out he's actually a Hebrew slave instead of royalty of Egypt. He kills an overseer who is mistreating his people. He must then run from the law as an outlaw. He goes to a most inaccessible place, even now very inaccessible. He marries into a shepherding Hebrew family and settles into the life of a husband, a father, and a herder. But something was still inside him. Something still burned within him. Something more, something other. And he is distracted in his new roles. He is anxious and he is antsy. So he goes on another quest. He goes up the sacred mountain, Sinai. As a storm is approaching, thunder and lightning, of course, then and now, age-old signs of the presence of God. And he goes up and he encounters God in that bush. What he had been seeking, or rather what had been seeking him, came to him on that day. He would go down the mountain and leave his job as a sheep herder and become a leader, a kind of political, a kind of spiritual, a kind of prophetic leader of his people. He would be known as the giver of the law. This outlaw would be known as the giver of the law and set standards for the Hebrew community that still are in place today. Now, what Moses encounters in that burning bush is not God out there, but God in the deepest part of himself, the fire, as it were, of his own soul. What Moses encountered there was his true and deepest self, that part of him and that part of us that if you take everything else, if you strip everything else away from us, there it is. So what's that, huh? Because the name of his God was not life giver or thunderbolt or attentive one or fertility giver or some other combination of noun and adjective. The name of his God is a verb. I am who I am. I will be who I will be. This God is being itself. God's being, which includes all creation and reality, includes Moses and includes us, little old us, too. So this burning bush is us, if you will, if that's grammatical. It is this burning, passionate depth in each of us that is our own center of energy and life and creativity. It's great to talk about, a little harder to access or grasp, I think. I think too often many of us settle in life for someone else's passion for us. Someone else's burning. Moses shed the identities offered to him to take on this new and true one. And this new one consisted of all the roles and identities he had before, but nothing's wasted in the economy of God. But now his fire is no longer derivative. Derivative fire is that which you've never been allowed or encouraged to have and find on your own. Derivative power is Erzat's passion, because real passion, living, really feeling our feelings, might be too frightening. And derivative power is borrowed fire, because real fire, maybe in us, we think had been extinguished long ago by someone or something. It's artificial burning that costs nothing real and produces nothing but show. It's all heat and no light, derivative power. Or perhaps is it the deep understanding that getting in touch with our own spiritual power and energy may change the way I live my life, and that cost might be a little too high right now. So living a fully human life was the point of the Ten Commandments, the law of Moses, and is the point of a Christian life today. A second-century bishop, you remember, said the glory of God is a human being fully alive, breathing, walking, laughing, working, eating, studying. But more than just the facts of life, it's the whys of life. Why get up? Why work? Why try? Why worship? Why love? It's all the kind of stuff that makes human beings really real. So like Moses, I think we need to come to grips with our own inner burning, our passions, our destinies, our purposes in life. If we don't, we'll just be wandering and hapless and half alive and eternally antsy. So be fully alive. We are created in God's very image. Feel deeply, my friends, what you feel in life. It is a gift, good and bad, the joy and the transcendence. And burn, friends. Burn with a fire that shines and gives heat and never gives out. This is your soul. This is my soul and your soul. This is what Christ died to save, and what is given to you and me and to us, to live, to be, to exist as radiant beacons of God's loving forgiveness and hope. Hope in a life in which so often blames and shames and offers despair. Burn, baby, burn.